Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to MindShifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie. Michael and Jeanie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rahma. Michael is the author of Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeanie Ryce. And the truth that is rooted within me.
Welcome to MindShifters Radio. My name is Michael Ryce, and I guess Jeanie must be having some technical problems.
I just now got on.
Time. Oh, hey, sweetie, welcome.
It is definitely a challenge sometimes with this technology.
Well, it's interesting how the technology works. Here I am driving around the block in downtown Chicago looking for a parking place so I can sit still and do the workshop or do the radio show. It's kind of like a workshop. And everywhere there's traffic and there are roads torn up and it's just you can hear as I'm going by this machine they're chopping up a piece of the road. And it's certainly the technology world's an interesting one. And so here we are in downtown Chicago, pretty day in Chicago, sunny, clear skies, some nice white clouds rolling around, and 72 degrees. So got a little chilly, was down to the 40s last night. Anyway, we're welcoming you to MindShifters Radio, and let's see, today must be day 99, Jeanie? Are you still with me, Jeanie? I think your microphone must have gone out.
I think that it is 100. Let me, nope, let's see. I don't know. I'm going to quit and just say it.
We are honoring, one more time, we are honoring Memorial Day and the people who have been forced to kill, to be killed, to be maimed, to be injured, to bring their injuries and their traumas home, and the people they've impacted with it. We want to honor what all those people have done to give in order to produce the world we're living in. And we want to end what they're doing. We want to end war. It's time for planet Earth to be finished with war. And so the way that we're going to, our contribution to that is every day we make a commitment and we invite you. We create an invitation. The invitation is that today you will be willing to let go of one issue, just one, the smallest irritation, the smallest upset that you might have. Be willing to let go of that for today. And to let go of that means to forgive. And when we talk about forgiveness, we're not talking about letting other people off the hook because there's something painful in us. We've been told a false story about forgiveness, and it's a tough story to unlearn because it's been told for so long on the planet. Stop forgiving people. Stop forgiving yourself. Forgiveness is applied to the anger, to the sadness, to the grief, to the fear, to the pain that resides inside of you that needs to be removed. And so forgiveness is about removing those things. So we invite you today to go to our website, www.whyagain.com. On the right-hand side, you'll see a link that says Download Worksheets. The first 4 links tell you the whole story about how the forgiveness process, how actually you can move inside yourself and remove what never belonged. And so we'll invite you to tap into that technology and engage in the forgiveness process around one issue, one situation where today you have any form of hostility or fear, and be willing to let go of that hostility or fear. So that's our invitation to you today. And Jeanie, do we have any callers, or do we have any questions in the chat room? about the ongoing conversation on forgiveness.
We do have a hand up on the switchboard, and it's actually missing a number, so I'm not real sure if it's area code 954. I think it is. You're on the air.
Hi, my heart family. This is Nene.
Well, hey there, young lady. It's good to hear your voice. How are you today?
Thank you. Wonderful. I'm doing great. Thank you. And, I'm very happy of all this movement and all this knowledge that we are acquiring. As you say, it takes a while to relearn the forgiveness as it is.
Yeah.
And I have a question today. I have a very good friend that has a child, and he has dyslexia. I don't know whether to say he's dyslexic or he has dyslexia. And I was wondering, Michael, if through the breathing, the still point breathing, if there could be some improvement for the child.
Well, I'm not sure that improvement is necessary, because I'm not sure that dyslexia is a disease process. It certainly is in a culture that says you have to function this way. It appears to be a disease because it's not the way everybody else functions. However, there are some amazing dyslexics with amazing capabilities. And so they don't fit into the little box that, say, for instance, the educational system wants to put them in. They say, well, this child has a disorder. I'm not sure it's a disorder, so I wouldn't necessarily aim for changing it. And if there is anything out of place, my experience is that everything that's out of place has to do with holding the breath. And so when the breath is restored, the tendency will be to start to move anything that's out of place out of the structure, to remove what never belonged. And so certainly still point breathing will be a benefit to anyone who has any kind of a difficulty in the functioning of their human energy system. Mm-hmm. So that would be my input for it, and take the child and breathe them if the parents are open to that idea, and see what results. I wouldn't get involved in saying that you're treating a problem, because you're not qualified to treat a problem. None of us are. That's not the purview of spiritual work. The purview of spiritual work is to support people in functioning as the human beings that they really are. And whatever is going on, breathing will help.
Yeah, but as you're speaking, it comes to my mind that being dyslexic is a different way to functioning, but perhaps because of the society thumbprints, he has to forgive whatever that makes him, triggers inside of him his sense of being abnormal, or that. Am I on the right track, perhaps?
Right. So I would certainly support the child in letting loose of the beliefs that there is something wrong with him because he is differently empowered than everybody else that fits in the box. But I certainly support the child in forgiving the belief that there's something wrong with them, because there's nothing wrong with that child. There's something
and he's brilliant.
wrong.
He's a brilliant
right
musician, amazing.
He's
a brilliant musician.
Slow down a minute. I missed your last thought. So let me just finish the sentence. And that there's something not right about a society that says everybody has to fit in the same little box. So and then give the child the message that it's about the child when it's not.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, because he's really amazing, brilliant musician. So it's about moving him into realizing that he just functions differently, but there's forgiveness about letting go what he thinks that it's off track. Okay, wonderful.
And supporting the child in really being empowered in what their skill is. You know, the genius of the mind that functions differently than others can be something that is a major contribution to the society and to the civilization of our society. And, of course, when the child can't honor that in themselves, when the parents can't honor it, when they think it's wrong, then the real gift that child has to give, it's difficult for the child to bring it forward. So I'd support the parents in letting go of the blocks and the child in letting go of the blocks. And you know, the word education comes from the root educare. It does not mean to put in. It means to bring forward, to bring out. So to bring out the true being that is there through a structure, mind-body unit that is differently empowered than the average. It is an awesome gift to give. And you are certainly qualified to give that gift.
Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, anything else exciting in your world today?
Well, I think this very opening, and I'm starting to send a lot of information to certain places where I think that it's possible to start opening the lectures in Spanish. So that was today. I did that in the morning. You know, working on that. Yeah, very excited. Yes.
Cool. Well, you know, any support we can be, that's what we're here for.
Yep. Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Have a blessed day.
You too, Mike and Jeanie. Bye.
Anything else happening there in the chat room, sweetie?
Nope, nothing else going on. Actually, Tim is the only one that's in there with me, so I don't know if the delay in getting on made people think it wasn't happening or what. They need to refresh to be able to get in.
I had to refresh a number of times.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fun of the technology world.
Yep. It'll keep you
going. So how are you today, Dr. Jim?
I'm doing well, very well, thank you. Thoroughly enjoyed the lecture last night, the workshop, and at one point you mentioned something about how people have actually had to do worksheets on you. And No,
Tim. I said they don't ever have to.
And it elicited the same kind of chuckle then as it did just now, and so. And so there've been quite a lot that's been stirring up since your visit. It's really good stuff to get at and release, and it's led to a lot of clearing of communications with patients and friends. So it's just been quite an honor and a joy to have you, to be in the area. You're not with us anymore, but you're right down the road, about an hour away. So I was struck last night. The thing that struck me the most in the lecture last night was the generation piece, and there's no real words for it. It's just that it sank in at a deeper level. That much of what I'm struggling with, whenever I do have difficulty, is it's undoubtedly bound in the generations. I've genetically, energetically inherited it from the long line of people who've gone before me. Probably most of them, if not all of them, just trying to do the best they could with what they had, and many of them having been conditioned to the same kind of craziness that we've been conditioned to. And so that was a powerful piece for me. The idea that it just kind of gave me more like a little jet boost of, okay, let's just do some more worksheets and clear some more stuff out, and not be so worried about what might be discovered or released with each individual worksheet, but more to settle into the idea of using a tool like the clearing you did yesterday, the little exercise for clearing attachments.
Right.
Where you just speak to Ruka and say, I release this. I release my attachment, and I'm going to use my access to Ruka or my higher power or the Holy Spirit or Mother Mary or whoever I want to call upon to help me. But just that acceptance of the fact that I need to be out of my logical mind to find an answer to the problem that my logical mind has created for me.
Right.
So
yeah, definitely key stuff, and the recognition of the source of some of those things just makes life so much easier when we can just let go of what never belonged. For sure.
Yeah, it's been very, very powerful, and there was you made mention last night about the first 2 chapters of the new book, and you have the audio, and it's been a long time since I've listened to them, so I started listening a little bit this morning.
Oh, cool.
Again. And that's just a real good refresher for my mind anyway, just a reminder that the conditioning has been distorted and solidified for thousands of years. And, if you build a building right at the edge of the water on the sandy beach, it's not going to last long. People can take pictures of it, and they can, say how wonderful it is and worship it long after it's crumbled and fallen into the water, but that doesn't mean that it's still there. And when you build a philosophy or a religion on these false premises, you can keep it going and keep feeding emotional energy into it for thousands of years, but that doesn't mean it is the original, that it is what was intended. And so that was another big insight for me from last night. And of course, as I've only gotten about halfway through the first chapter again this morning, but it's just a very powerful reminder that if it isn't working to make my life better, I need to give it up. I don't want to cling to it because somebody told me it was part of my religion or it's what my parents always did. There is a way to pursue a lighter, more loving, more creative life, and I want to be about that. I don't want to be stuck in my, what's the song title? Stuck in my story, my pain and my glory.
Right.
Yeah, I don't want to be stuck there. So those are my thoughts to begin the talk today.
Well, and as you speak of that, what you resonate for me is the recognition. If you go back, over and over and over and over and over again, you hear the man named Yeshua saying things like, "Fear not, neither do I condemn thee," and the basis is love. Love your neighbor, love your brother, love your Creator. That the whole basis is that, and the conversation that purports to come out of that is based in fear, that is based in condemnation. It's just exactly what you're saying. It's a building that's gone. It's dead. It doesn't resemble what he taught. And when you recognize what he taught was based in our actual human lives and the life of a Creator called love, all that hostility and fear stuff is just not the truth. And so, yes, the solid rock is where we want to build, and the rock to build on is just, if you want to know what the rock to build on is, just hold a newborn, and then know that anything that wouldn't come out of that newborn's mouth if the newborn could speak, is not true about you, about any form of true religion or anything else. If the newborn wouldn't be saying it, it's not true. And once you start to get yourself set in a principle on a foundation, then you start sorting out and you throw out what just isn't true. Even though, as you say, thousands of generations have clung to it. It's time to stop clinging to it. You know, the foundation, love those who hate you, do good to those who despitefully use you. And then you look at those who believe in the world of hostility or fear, and the people closest to them, they puke on. At the turn of a single thought, just one misstep, one thing out of line with that belief system, and all of a sudden, that person who was telling you all about how it was about love is ready to condemn you and tell God to go get you, take you apart. Pretty bizarre beliefs. In the name of one who said, love those who hate you, do good to those. And of course, in what universe does it make sense to do good to those who hate you? Well, when you recognize you live in an energetic universe, you get the original, they get the carbon copy. And they may not be home for delivery. Once you recognize that you're the one who's doing the original, then everything starts to change. That you have the energy of the condemnation when you offer someone condemnation. If someone offers you condemnation, they have the energy of the condemnation. You don't have to buy it. Sadly, and unfortunately, in a lot of cases, the people who offer the condemnation brainwash those around them with condemnation, and so it seems like that's the only option, is to buy into that. And our goal is to be done with that, to be done with the insanity of non-human life, to be done with the insanity of the hostility and fear-based mind, and return to our actual human lives. What is a human life? Easy experience. You don't have to listen to anybody's dogma or doctrine about it. Just hold the newborn child. So thank you for that input and that thought, because that does really create a platform for clarification.
The other thing that came up today when I was talking to someone was that we have these two things in our lives as humans that we need to wake up to, become aware of, and then be vigilant about. The first one is the crazy conditioning of a culture that takes the words and teachings of someone who professes cast out fear as though it were a demon and do love to your God, your neighbor, and yourself always. And they do war upon war upon war. So the craziness of that conditioning and the thousands of years that we have to fight it in our individual bloodlines. And the second thing is, we're up against the self-protective mechanism of our own mind, which does the denial and suppression, that thinks it's doing us good, that's been contaminated by all of those years of conditioning.
Absolutely.
And the more I can build my awareness of that process in the moment, and the more vigilant I can be about it, the easier it is for me to grab a hold of the tools and dismantle it. And one of the key flags, warning flags, that Anthony de Mello talks about in his writings, and Guy Finley talks about as well, is attachments. And all we really need to do is observe, to really closely watch our attachments to anyone or anything. You know, you frequently read a quote from Einstein where he talks about if we think we're separated or separate from others. And I looked it up because there's a second part of that quote that is just so powerful for me. I just want to share this with you. The quote, as I found it on the internet, is, "A human being is part of a whole. That whole is called by us the universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts, and feeling as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. And I would offer that learning to identify whenever I become attached to any person or thing in any way that generates hostility or fear is a key to beginning to dismantle that attachment. It's like the warning system that says, okay, you're doing something wrong here. Because attachment means I begin to identify with it or crave it or pursue it to the exclusion of love of truth and connection to my source.
Right.
And then again, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And then again, we get into all of the negative emotions as simply my alarm system telling me I've made an error in my thought. I'm off target. I need to back up and re-examine and hopefully let go of something.
Yeah, and when one is clinging and clasping to something in the external world, it's because they're disconnected from the internal world, and that makes the mind unsound. And the unsound, power-hungry mind, whether it's political, religious, scientific, educational, business, criminal, medical, doesn't matter. It attempts to gain unwarranted status and power over others by the pretense that its ideas are unassailable and absolute. And for that person, truth threatens them because they're weak. They don't have a foundation. Their foundation is a fraud. To teach fear in the name of one who repeatedly said, fear not. To teach fear God, and you go back into the scriptures, and you hear it coming right from the Creator's mouth. Do not fear me. And people, will pound on anyone who threatens their weak truth. And they will destroy anything that bears witness to their errors, because anything that raises its stress level, anything that brings the stress forward and shows that there is a falsehood being held, and it doesn't matter who it is, whether it's a person, whether it's a nation, art, a culture, knowledge, spouses, children, doesn't matter, they will destroy or leave in order not to have to look within at the source of their pain and at the source of their weak truth, which is just a lie. It's just not true. So the more untenable the position of the weak truth is, the more agitated their response will be to the presentation of conflicting information. People will just go nuts when someone presents information that conflicts with what isn't true. If what one holds is true, then anybody could say anything, and you just look and go, oh, okay. If I'm not sure it's true, then anything that conflicts with what I've been taught to believe, that's probably a fraud because it's based in fear and condemnation. The tendency is going to be for stress to go through the roof and for attack to take place. So the more untenable the position is, the more agitated one will become in response to new or conflicting information, and the more violent its reaction will be to protect its weak truth. That's, it's weakness masquerading as strength, and I'd offer that's the single root of all violence. And where you see violence, there is not truth. It's just not there. So this mind, which, carries this false banner of truth, has gathered a lot of power over a lot of people through the centuries with its sophistry. And millions have been murdered simply because they stood in face of that fraud and called it for what it was. And so recognizing that, we need to select a principle to operate by, and then operate by that principle, whatever beliefs come up. Did the principle say love is the key? Then why are we talking about fear? did the principle say you are the offspring of the Creator? Then why are we talking about you being something, having some other identity than that? That stuff's just got to go. Carl Sagan has an interesting quote that he puts forward. It says, history is full of people who, out of fear or ignorance or lust for power, have destroyed knowledge of immeasurable value, which truly belongs to us all. He says, we must not let that happen again. Love of truth has got to become the guiding principle of our culture if our cultures on this planet are to survive. And if we're going to clean up our world, we're not going to do it by loving war and going and killing people and saying, we do military. That's the key to life in the name of the man who said, love those who hate you. It's urgent to understand that principle if we're going to be empowered to clean up our world or to clean up our own lives, because the refusal to live the principle that was taught means that we're going to be stuck in the same dynamic that's been going on for 1,000 generations and running the world. Tradition is one of the greatest enemies of truth. So it doesn't matter whether the violence is in thought, somebody just thinks it in their words, their action. Doesn't matter if it's a parent or a child, a husband, a wife, a teacher, a student, an employer, an employee, a soldier, the target, the judge or the inmate, the doctor or the patient, the minister or the congregant. All doing violence in thought, word, action, or appearance are terrorists. Terrorizing someone with threat and fear in the name of someone who said, fear not, is a fraud that needs to leave this planet. And even if the fraud never goes beyond the person who habitually terrorizes and abuses themselves, throws spears at their own heads because that's what they were taught to do. It's the same game, if I don't function just perfectly, what do? Spear myself. Because somebody taught me that if I wasn't perfect, I deserved to be speared. So, I'll just spear myself and then nobody else will have to. Or then, once I speared myself, and of course I've denied that I did that, somebody comes along who does the slightest behavior that I can interpret as them spearing me, and all of a sudden I'll be all over them because look what they did to me. And all they've done is remind me what I've done to myself. So this game of forgiveness and this game of healing is an awesome opportunity to clean up too many generations of war and abuse on planet Earth, and to stop perpetuating the injustice. One who experiences injustice usually perpetuates the injustice long after the perpetrator stops. And if one refuses to forgive hate, fear, anger, false beliefs, they're engaging in the use of a poison that will eventually kill. And the one it will kill will be themselves. And so we're here to support everyone in learning to forgive everything that's not based in truth, and learning to forgive all hostility and fear and be done with it. Time for it to be over. It doesn't belong on the planet. Jeanie, any thoughts in the chat room? Any hands up on the phone?
No.
No? Okay, has David joined us yet?
I guess not. Michael, have you, I missed a day. Did David do the explanation of how he was going to change some of the words for his game?
No, he did not.
Okay.
He's not done that. And I talked to him earlier today, and he said he was going to be on the show today, so
I
don't know where he is.
He is on, and we do have a caller now, but David is turned on.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Okay.
So let's listen to our caller.
Area code 541. You're on the air.
Hello, it's Julie. Hey.
Hey, young lady. How are you?
I'm doing better. I have a little bit of quiver in my stomach, but I'm not listening to the thoughts of the fear. And actually, I don't have the same fear of going to this court thing today. And just hearing what you said about removing hostility from the world and any grievance that I can do my part with is a big step. So that's what I'm doing. And I wanted to say I love hearing Jeanie's voice because she has such a charming singing voice with her beautiful accent. So I love to hear her on the show too. And,
Yay!
I appreciate the family that we are. I've really been feeling the energetic support. It really touches me, and I think the hardest part for me is to receive it. So I am receiving it, and I'm okay with whatever outcome comes. And I feel like I can really face Pam without grievances and attachments to outcomes. So that was a powerful process you did with me yesterday.
You found that made a shift?
The letting go of attachments?
Yes.
Yeah, with the pencils in my head. And I just, I have really heard the support from Dr. Tim and David and whoever was not remembering that my name was Julie and thought I was Lisa. But anyway, I hear it, I feel it. I'm inspired that we really are a very large voice, and I'm so grateful to hear the Aramaic teachings again and to bring them back to our forefront. And thank you, Michael, for all that you've done to open that way.
Cool. Well, Julie, we could even, we could create a song about that. To go kind of like, I'm not Lisa, my name is Julie. Hey, that was such a setup.
Oh, yeah, and Julie, do you love me? There's that one, too. That's so fun. Well, anyway, and, music really helps soothe the soul and reminds me of who I am. And I have my mother's piano here to play, so I'm going to play a little music before I drive off to the court time today. And I don't know. I basically feel like I'm showing up in my wholeness, and I'm able to see what the non-being part is, and I really feel, I guess, the magnetism of staying away from the non-being and staying in the wholeness of love. So that feels good to me because it actually feels like I'm drawn to it and it's natural, and I'm not going to forget. Instead of, I was so fearful before, I couldn't find my way to that loving space.
Isn't it amazing when we just remember what we're capable of?
Well, what do you mean by that? Like love or capable? What do you mean capable? I'm not feeling capable.
Who you are.
Yeah.
When you remember who you are, and you have a community that reminds you when you forget. For all of us, when we forget, when we've got a community that reminds us and allows us to go back and heal.
Oh yeah, that is just the biggest treasure of life. When we get to the place where we don't forget anymore, then we get to live in the treasure of life. Just purely and with ease and grace. But it's so great that we do have people, a family, to remind us. Yes, it's very great. And I appreciate everyone because I know whoever's listening to this, I don't know, I'm sure everyone's just like connecting and then they're with me. That's all. It's not like they're going to focus on it all day or say any prayer or do any ritual. It's just that the oneness of the truth is what connects us. I love that. I love truth.
Absolutely.
So,
I'm
I just wanted to let you know. I'm doing okay, and I appreciate all your care and consideration. So I'll let you know how I did tomorrow. I'll call back.
All right.
Okay.
You hold the space. Lots of love.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. One of the things I appreciate is, I'm sitting here in a loading zone in downtown Chicago amid the skyscrapers. And my son, Michael J., is in Chicago today, and we just had some lunch over at a place called Whole Foods. There's a new store they've got that's a mega store with, I think they've got 400 parking places, and the store is built to handle 2,000 people. It's just huge. So I left the store a little early, and Michael J. just came walking down the street and reached in the window and handed me this beautiful dark chocolate gelato. So as I'm listening and talking with you folks on the radio, I have this awesome, healthy gelato in my hand, and I just send you all a taste. David, are you with us yet? Hello, David. I guess not.
Hello.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, he is. Oh, good.
Yes,
How are you?
am. I'm doing very well, and you just reminded me as you were talking about that wonderful food, about a documentary. I don't know if I've sent it to you or not. You may have seen it. It's called Forks or Knives? Forks for Knives. I think it's Forks or Knives. It's about a choice. It came out in 2011, and it really does an excellent job about covering everything from the foods that we eat, the preparation for it, and just really forks over knives is what it is. And it focuses on the research of two food scientists that reveal the broad advances in medical technology and the popularity of modern possessed tools. And they cover the largest and the most extensive research about health and nutrition and its connections with it that's ever been done. They did this study in China over a period of about 15 years. And it's really remarkable one to watch. So probably it'd be one of those that we'll want to have here at Heartland and maybe suggest to people on it. It's very, very good. Anyway, it's a beautiful fall day here. It feels fall to me. Just beautiful out right now.
Cool. Well, Tim was asking about the word change that you were making in the Building the Brain Cells game, so maybe now would be a good time to share that with us.
Yeah, I was actually just getting on. I was across the room doing some stuff, listening, and then when I get to my phone and get it unmuted and get this, then we were already in the other conversation. Yeah, Tim, thank you for asking and supporting me in changing and completing that. I'm still working on the presentation of it, for I'd like people to be able to understand the challenge of doing this work, as with any work. It's there's a habit. Once habits are set in, Michael uses a nice description of, have you ever been sitting at your office space and you decide that you're going to move the trash can from one side of the desk to the other? How often do we find ourselves throwing paper in a space where there's no trash can? And that process of shifting the consciousness of that to knowing that it's on the other side. So I'm still working on it, Tim. I'll let you guys know. I'll make it everyone aware as soon as I've completed it. One of the words that I'm changing is, rather than an agreement, to make a promise, to get back to the space of what it was like, what we would do when we promise ourselves or promise someone else that we're going to do something. And as children, our best friends were the ones that we made the promises to. And I'm also inviting people to, rather than to just enroll doing Building the Brain Cells and Connecting with Heartland, that they bring somebody on board with them, a friend, that they can make the promise with and keep the promise with that particular friend. And it's been in the works for a couple of years now, so I just haven't come with the right way, the best way to present it just yet.
All right, that makes sense.
Yep, I'll keep you guys posted with it.
Cool. Well, let's mention while I'm thinking about it that we have 4 more free workshops here in Naperville this week. Tonight we'll be doing On Creating Consciously. Tomorrow night, Healing Through Relationships. Thursday night, Getting the Stress You Need, and then Friday, Codependence to Interdependence, 7 to 9:30, at a place called the Ruha Center at 1110 Washington Street in Naperville. Free open workshops. We'd be delighted if you're in this area to have you come play with us. And then about 9 days away at Heartland, we'll be doing a 9-day intuitive development, where we'll work on developing one of those spiritual faculties called intuition, the ability to access information without recourse to reason, but rather to go direct to the source of what's going on in our world. And that will start on the 16th of September and go through the 24th. So if anybody is ready to do some forgiveness work, we'll be doing Why Is This Happening to Me Again as part of that intensive. We'll be doing mind shifters and still point breathing. And then the rest of it's a practicum on developing that intuitive faculty so that, as you choose to bring something new into the world, it doesn't come through the replicate mind, through the mind playing out its same old, same old. It comes when we open our higher faculties. So if you're looking for a renewal, the place to get it is from within yourself. The renewal does not come from without. It comes from your connection to Source. And the intuition is one of the most powerful connectors to that Source that there is. So we'd invite you to come and join us. The 16th through the 24th, we'll be doing all fresh and raw, awesome food. And there'll be the opportunity to experience some hands-on learning with food as well. So there'll be lots happening that week at Heartland. So we'd be delighted to have you join us. And I met with Ari this morning. We talked, Chef Ari. And we were talking about maybe in October doing a food, fun, forgiveness, and selfless service week. We'll probably do a 9 or 10 day. And we'll be doing all of that. There'll be Ari doing some awesome food and teaching some recipes and handling food. And he is such an encyclopedia about food. So if you want to improve your food world, we'll be doing that as part of that intensive if it all flows together. And as soon as we're confirming it or know that it will happen, we'll confirm and have a flyer on the website. We'll be doing some work projects. There's some things at Heartland that need to be completed. We'll be doing some intensive work and some still point breathing. So we'll be doing a whole range of things in that time period. So if anybody, and it'll be a reduced price sort of thing from a normal intensive because there will be that work component. So you'll be contributing in part to what's happening at Heartland. So it should be an awesome week or 10 days if anybody's interested in joining us for that. It'll be fun to have you. So, Jeanie, anything happening in the chat room? Questions, thoughts, answers, ideas? Your mute button's on.
Nothing going on.
Yeah? Gee, where is everybody?
Did you get an email from Richard with a link to an audio?
I did. I haven't listened to it yet. Did you listen to it?
Just the first 5 minutes or so, just to see if there was something directly in it related to your worksheet process. But the first 5 or maybe 7 minutes is intro. It sounds like it's going to be interesting. I'll go back and finish it when I have time.
Okay, cool.
Richard came and did an intensive, didn't he?
Yeah, he did the 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again?
Okay, so he should have a fairly good grasp on what the worksheet process is.
Yeah, so is this an audio that he's done then?
No, this is an audio that he came across, and it's a woman who is a teacher, a spiritual teacher, and Richard says that he found Tara Brach's latest meditation to be a very good description of Michael's worksheet. So apparently in her narrative style, she's outlining many of the same points in your worksheet. So we'll give you an update on that when I get a chance to listen to it.
Well, I'll take the time to give it a listen too.
Oh, I just have to ask before I forget, do you have music on your phone?
You know, I haven't figured out how to do it. I've tried several times, but have not.
How about Guy Finley or Way of Man?
I haven't found any of it.
Oh, all right.
So,
well,
did you put it in the music folder?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've not been able to locate it yet, but I'm working on it.
All right. Well, I'm holding a space for you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Lots happening. Our lesson last night stirred lots of thoughts. We did the lesson, What is the World, from A Course in Miracles in our workshop last night. And it's a lesson for people that are working with the Course. Often turns everything on its head, because when the Course talks about the world that needs correction, most people working with the Course, in my experience, are talking about it being what's going on out there as opposed to what's going on between our ears, and that the correction's all about what's going on between our ears, and that the tools of forgiveness especially need to be applied to that world, the world that we see through functioning of this body's mind. And it's kind of upturns a lot of people's focus on the Course. So it's always fun lesson to do.
Did you get any feedback from the gentleman who teaches the Course there at the Ruah Center?
Actually, there were two gentlemen there that do Course in Miracles, the fellow who teaches it at the Ruah Center, and then there was a gentleman who teaches it at a couple of other locations. And the fellow who teaches it at Ruah said that he was planning on bringing his wife back tonight. So I expect he got something of value out of it, and they're planning on coming to more of the workshops. And so that was about the extent of the feedback that I got. Everybody was milling around and chatting last night, and so I got to speak with them just a minute or two to say hello. But Joe shared with me that he was planning on bringing his wife back.
Oh, good.
Yeah. It is good. And
yeah, there are quite a few people that I've tried to mention it to for tonight. That's one of my favorites, is on creating consciously. So hopefully you'll have a nice non-holiday turnout tonight. Get some good people in there.
Yeah, I thought that, considering that last night was the holiday, I thought we had a pretty nice turnout. It was a sweet group of folks that were ready to rock and roll.
Yep.
Ready to rock and roll. So our phone-in number, if anybody has a thought or a question or an answer for us, our call-in number is 646-200-4169. If anybody would like to bring forward a question for us, we'd love to hear from you. And otherwise, our time is winding down. We've got a few minutes left. Not sure I want to start on a totally new topic at this point.
Well, I just Googled trying to figure out something on A Course in Miracles, and one of the things that comes up is A Course in Miracles or in Brainwashing. And it says A Course in Miracles is a religious sect created by a research psychologist who claimed Jesus dictated A Course in Miracles to her.
Well, everybody's got a reality.
Wow. So that's there's some pretty powerful words here just in the first paragraph. So I guess, everybody does have their own reality, and one of the things I like so much about last night and several of the different lectures you give is a way for us to start examining the reality that we're so certain of. So I'll share a little story since you don't want to start a whole new topic.
Oh, go for it.
As we were driving last night to get down to your talk,
right.
It was light outside. It was probably 5:30, 5:15. And as we were driving, my friend Christy looks out the window and says, "Oh, look, a hang glider." And she points off to the front left of the car in the direction towards where we're driving. And I look up and I see a very large commercial. It's one of the smaller but still a large jet. It's a commercial jetliner, and it's painted with bright red and gold. And I said, "Well, that's a jet." And she said, "No, it's a hang glider." She probably said it 4 or 5 times. Now, I had to just keep driving, so I kept my eye on the road, and she kept tracking this object that she was absolutely certain was a hang glider until it was completely off to the side and I couldn't watch her or it anymore. And she kept looking, and she took her sunglasses off, and she just moved to that side of the car and looked out the window, and she said, "Oh my gosh, it's a jet." So when we were in the lecture last night, she nudged me and said hang glider, because you were talking about how we create the world that we see inside our minds, and it doesn't really exist outside of us. And she thoroughly got it, that this was just one example where she was gifted with the time to look and look again and have somebody there who wasn't being angry at her, who just lovingly said, "No, I think you'll see it's a jet if you keep looking." And she had the time to reprocess it until she actually saw more of what the object was. But her initial view, the input from the outside, the stimulation in the optic nerve brought up from her brain cells a hang glider. So she brought the whole object closer to her. She made it smaller. She made the bright colors mean it must be fabric instead of metal. She did all of this work in her head and wasn't going to give it up. So it was just a powerful example, and we're not always lucky enough to get those in those non-emotional circumstances, but it's a very powerful example of how we are each creating our own reality. And as you say, once you realize that, if you understand that any reality you create that leads to hostility or fear is something you can undo, and that's forgiveness. That's the tool of forgiveness.
Yeah, and what most people want to do is run away instead of deal with it. That's the challenge. And it's certainly it's a big piece of relearning to be able to just stay in the space and to move through it. It's definitely a big piece of learning.
Well, that was a strong one. So for us, from time to time, that'll be our code word for when we think someone is misperceiving what we've said or done. Hang glider.
Yeah, it's nice to have a little signal like that. It's cool.
Yeah. Well, you're running out of time here. You got maybe a minute and a half left, so I'll let you go, and I'll look forward to seeing you Thursday night.
Okay, sir, we appreciate you. And tell Christy we said hello. She sent me a really sweet note yesterday on your phone just saying hello, so tell her I appreciated it, and we will talk to you tomorrow. And in the meantime, please go to www.whyagain.com, and as you do, on the right-hand side, you'll see a link that says Download Worksheets. Click the first 4 links. Take a look. It'll change your life. And we're here to support you in creating the absolute best year yet of your eternal life. Have a blessed one. Bring somebody to the show with you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to MindShifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie, who present that internal Aramaic process of forgiveness. Michael and Jeanie are here every Monday through Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Earth Angels Radio. For more on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. That's www.whyagain.com.